Hi, it's Juris and welcome to Tattoo Shop Talk, and today we will take a look at this wonderful tattoo machine by CrItical. It's their latest and their greatest CrItical torque pen machine. And this machine is my favorite that I have ever used. This is my go-to tattoo machine now at this moment in my tattoo machine drawer. And I will do the usual tattoo machine's ups, its downs, and who this tattoo machine might be for. Let's say big thank you to Barber DTS for providing this product, and as usual, they have not seen video before, they have no input on it, and obviously no money have exchanged hands. This is my look on this tattoo machine, and if that little note in the corner that pops up that includes paid promotion confuses you, that's something you have to tick by rules of YouTube, even if it's just a product placement. And now let's go to the machine. Machine comes in two options. One is CrItical Torque Tattoo Pen Machine on its own. It's called Machine Set, and that comes in at $1,099 US. Another option would be Full Set, and that's where the all cool stuff is. So let's look at Full Set. That's what I have here. It's 3.5mm set. You can also get it in 4.2mm stroke setting as well. And full machine set comes in a box like that, and in a box in there is this awesome travel case which looks like that, and this one is like actually really sturdy one. It's like really hard case, travel case. It looks like that. There's a bunch of paperwork, sticker in a box. Machine comes in here with one battery on, one battery there, and extra grip here, which I have somewhere in a drawer. Bunch of paperwork, some lube, gaskets, RCA cable, and charging station by CrItical for batteries, which these fit perfect. I mean, price, it's not cheap, it's on a higher end of prices, but it totally makes sense. If you compare it to Bishop 1 set, it would come in at the same price with two different capacity batteries and with only one grip. This one comes with two grips. Since it's coming with extra grip, like let's say you get a set which is around same price and then you add extra grip which costs $169 US, and that's already more expensive than this whole set, where you get all the chargers, two big batteries, and one bigger and one thinner grip. I have stored away my thinner grip and I have not used it because I love this big one so much that I don't care about other one, but it's cool that the option is there. So let's start with the good stuff, why I love it, and it just works and ergonomics are awesome. This one is 3.5mm stroke, which is usually not my go-to stroke, but I had a chance to test it and I got it and I love it. Usually my go-to is, for example, for Bishop 1, I would take 4.2mm. When I started to use it, that actually this one feels more like 4.2mm stroke machine. 3.5mm one is brushed and this one is brushless motor. So maybe that's the difference. Maybe they did some magic and that's the name. Torque, it feels more powerful. It's more like 4.2mm machine, but more chill, where I wouldn't take very tiny needles. With this one I feel pretty confident with it, and it also has the full potential of 4.2mm stroke machine. And I have used it with a bunch of variations of needles and it's been perfect so far. I have used it with 3 liners for lining and it felt comfortable, and I used it with big needles from Cheyenne, the what they call the bold liners, no, open liners. With 9 open liner it was fine. I have used it with 7 round shaders, with 9 round shaders it was fine, and I used it up to one of those big ones which was, I don't remember, 45 or 49, and it worked fine. Usually if I use larger liners then I would go with my Dan Cuban machine or that Magnetic Madness by Q, and I would use bar needles where I found them more efficient, while cartridges I found more comfortable to use. And with this bigger grip, balance is super nice and it's a bit heavier down at the end, and it feels like it even helps to get needle where it should be and put the right pressure on it. So this is really nice, feels well balanced and feels comfortable in the hand. And that's the machine without grip, and it's the magnetic battery. Boom, that is what we have here. It also fits the previous like magnetic connection batteries, but these are the fancy ones. This is where all the fun stuff is. As for vibration, as the promotion materials say, this one is very low vibration machine. But if you work with decent quality products, this would be kind of like standard, and it is pretty low vibrations. Let's switch it on and see how it sounds. So that's how it sounds. Let's put at 9 volts. And with cartridge. So pretty chill machine in a noise department and vibration. And now the flashy thing, the battery. The screen is this awesome, almost like Apple Watch looking thing. There's on, off and start and stop button in the middle, 2 buttons here, 2 buttons here. I look at this battery less of a battery, it's more like wireless power supply, because it have all the good stuff like critical power supplies. You can configure buttons in different ways. I have set up mine that on this side I have a power up and down. And when you adjust power, it also goes through these colors, which is also like on the latest power supplies, and which is neat about it. When you work, if you're roughly familiar with colors, or at least I know that the pink, the red stuff is at the high end, so sometimes you accidentally press it or something, but with the corner of eye you see like, this is not my usual color, so maybe you have set it up too strong, which is also neat function. And on the other side here I have set presets. Top one is at 9 volts and bottom one is at 6.5. And that's my kind of go-to voltages with this machine. I use 9 to 10 for lining and around 6.5 for coloring in or shading. So that's my kind of mid-range. I can just press preset and then adjust a little bit more if necessary. And that's super nice and that's super comfortable to use, and I enjoyed it every time. I'm like, I have to switch, and you just like boom, preset, boom, preset. And layout of buttons is cool because some would prefer use these for voltage, some would prefer these. Let's say you are left-handed, then maybe this side would be easier for you to adjust voltages, and other way with presets there. So you can configure those in the menu. There are menus. At first it seems a bit overwhelming, like batteries with menus and all this, but it's pretty easy to navigate. You have to just remember these top pressed together or bottom ones to access other tools. And let's go through menus. And I mean, I can live without all that fancy stuff, but it's just so nice and so comfortable to have those options. Now let's go through the menu. I'll press top buttons together. Let's see. Boom, and we have a menu. And there's a bunch of settings. You can connect it to pedal as well, which is pretty neat if you like to work with pedals. On this one you can set jump start on and off. When connected you can also change pedal mode, so you want to hold pedal or you just tap it and it's running. On the bottom there's product information and also button layout, so that you can map which side does what. This machine has a timer and you can show it and you can hide it. And also there's billing modes. You can set that session starts and stops when you tell it to do it, or it can just calculate for how long when machine is running. But that every time you switch it off, maybe that will go out of your session. You can set like a calculator so you see what's the total in monies and the good stuff, that you can hide the timer. I like that you can hide it because I think if you can see those numbers running, you can run into same type of situation and same type of feeling like people sometimes have in taxis when you look at that meter and you're like, ooh, it's going up. So we want to see it in taxis, but here maybe that could be a bit distracting. Therefore you can hide it. Double tap to exit the menu. Boom. And you're back at the screen, and then you just have this runtime symbol here, and then when you run it, it changes into this play button looking thing and it counts time. And to access timer you press both bottom buttons together. Boom, boom. So it's at 0. I have reset it, and if you want to reset it then you just hold both buttons together and it should reset. It's at 0 at the moment, but trust me. And if you want to get back to the menus, double tap on the center button. And again, to get out of menu, double press central button and you are back at beginning. And if you want to put it on standby mode, then again double click it. Boom, standby mode. I don't care about timer as much because it's not how I charge, but sometimes just for curiosity I'm like, oh, how long did it took when I use that machine? I check it, I'm like, oh, okay, roughly I know the times. That's kind of interesting, but I can live without it because I usually charge per piece. But what I really love, it's how to work with it and how to press buttons and get into presets. That I really like, the physical layout of buttons, and obviously the colored screen. And now let's slide into downsides. They are not really downsides, they're just little annoying things for me, things I have to use to, and I'm a little princess and I like to complain about things like that. And first one for me would be packing, because at the moment I have not ordered 6mm clipboard sleeves, and with 5 or 5.5 centimeters they don't fit over grip and they don't fit over battery. So there I get creative. What I use is this blue stuff. One of my favorite products out there. I bought this roll like 3 years ago, I think. So what I do, I unroll it a bit and I put it as close to the grip as possible. That would be that. And then another layer on a grip. I would put it in the center and roll these parts up, and they fit just perfect. Boom. And I make sure I move it so it doesn't stick, but I unrolled it so there's more space, and then when I adjust this to my needle depth, then this part overlays a little bit, and obviously if there's some hiccups, then there's some tape, and then I would put grip tape, which I obviously have forgot to take here. So that would be how I pack it now, but I'm ordering 6mm clipcord sleeve, and that should be fine. And also if I pack it like this, then I lock this part in place because it's a magnetic battery. You can spin it to see screen better. With this method I lock it in place. With a thicker clipcord sleeve, this would be all accessible and movable to my liking. And I don't like to wrap them in a regular plastic because then it just looks dodgy. It looks like I tried to smuggle something and hide it in some darker place. So that method I don't like. I'm creative like that. Another thing would be the fancy screen. It's cool that it's fancy, but we all have customers with those cracked iPhone screens, and this looks kind of like Apple Watch like screen. And the more fancy the thing is, the more you have to worry about it. You can break it, your colleague can knock it off station. It looks fancy enough for you to worry more about it. So my recommendation would be maybe first you get the machine. First thing to check before unpeeling anything: is your screen alright? It doesn't look so robust like on previous batteries. And another thing is to check with your insurance, because it should cover electronics, it should cover your tools. So if you break it, there would be probably some like what it's called self risk to pay, but these batteries are not cheap, so it's something to check with your insurance, because if you crack the screen, I don't think warranty will cover it. And speaking of warranty, machines have the regular warranties. Maybe with time I heard that there might be like extended version that you can buy from Bishop, but for now it's just a regular warranty as on all products. On a screen note, when you pack it, when you put them in a case, there's extra padding on top, so don't forget to put that on, especially if you keep junk in there, or even if you don't, just for safety remember to put it on. Or if you have lost that sheet, then maybe remember to put batteries like face down, so if there's anything that cannot hit the screen. So that would be like a little precaution for valuable products. Yeah, and remember it's a lock case. Another sad and expensive reality, but that's how it is with products like this. There is 3.5mm stroke option and 4.2, but if you want both, you have to buy two machines. There's no option on changing cams, so that's sad, but that's how reality works. And also, at least for now, there are no disposable grips, so these are the ones that you should go with. But it's a nice solid piece of metal. You can spray it, you can clean it, you can scrub it, you can throw it in autoclave, and it's all good. And if you look in there, there are some screws there, some screws there. So it's probably possible to take it apart. I don't think CrItical would recommend to go in there yourself, but for the types that like to do it, or maybe in the future when warranty ends and you start to get adventurous, you can open it up and see what's in there. And there's this thicker part, so none of the disposable grips that I own would fit this thread. Now, who this machine might be for? Like if you have your Wands or Cheyennes working for you, then in terms of performance, this will not be like a huge difference. If you have your things working for you, stick with what you have. It's not a cheap machine, but it's super nice and super comfortable to use. And therefore, if you are changing your machine, if one broke down and you're looking for a new one, this machine is a treat. This is definitely a nice machine. This is something to look into. It's super comfortable to use, all the buttons and layouts and all that. Again, it's something you have to get used to. If you used to operate buttons here, now they are here and they might sometimes get in the way. If you want to do all this stuff, you can accidentally touch them, but they at least safe to touch accidentally. It's not a run button, so that's no problem. That's a matter of getting used to it. And I'll mention again, the big grip is also super nice option. You have two grip options, and as I mentioned in the beginning, I use this one because I just love it. It balances machine nice. It's awesome. It almost feels that it helps to put correct pressure on a needle when you're working. So that's also awesome addition, and price wise that makes it better. than some competition because you have extra grip. And on the grips it will be a little detour, but I want to see how I see timeline of this type of machines evolving in cartridges as well, because in the beginning it seemed like it's all more orientated towards realistic tattooist, and it was all the time advertised as lightest machine and the finest and the thinnest and the sharpest needle. And now when a bit more like bolder, heavier styles are getting more popular and they are also starting to look at these type of products, suddenly we see bigger grips, heavier grips, bolder needles, lining with round shaders, open liners and all that good stuff. More companies offer steel grips, so I think we will see more and more options for grips, and this is definitely awesome one. What do you think about my thoughts on a timeline of evolution of these pen machines and cartridges? Leave that in the comment section. Maybe you think the same, maybe I'm just overthinking. That's my thought. And now back to this machine, and if I would have to describe it as anything, then I would say if you work with Bishop ones, this feels like 3.5mm stroke and 4.2mm stroke in one machine. And I would say with this one I would feel more comfortable pull thinner lines, which I wouldn't do with the Bishop 4.2mm ones with the Packer. In comparison with 3.5mm stuff, you can do thinner lines, you can do softer stuff, but if a need be, you can do all what 4.2mm stroke is doing. And on that note, I can't wait to see more reviews on 4.2 version of this machine. I can't really imagine how it would perform, but I'm pretty sure that it will be awesome. And a little note on what I use it for. I do a lot of generic, a lot of walk-in stuff, and I have mostly used this machine and it has been awesome. There are artists out there that can do awesome stuff with a rusty spoon, but in this situation it's a lot of about comfort, and it's so nice to work with. The heavy grip again, the colorful screen that is nice to look at, all the buttons and ergonomics, I just love this stuff. And even the travel case, it's all awesome stuff. And that's why I love this machine. It looks awesome, it performs well, it's very comfortable to use, all the ergonomics. This is my favorite machine, and this is the machine that I've been most sort of shocked with when I got it. I was like, there was a lot of those aha moments where like, oh, it's nice to use for this and it's nice to use for that, and you try a bigger grouping and you're like, oh my god, it's working again. So awesome little thing. Not that little with the case. And now you let me know in the comment section what do you think about this machine and what's your favorite sort of higher shelf, higher end tattoo machines. Leave that in the comment section. If you are new on this channel, then consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this, and do the usual, press likes, and if you are super mega awesome, then share this video so other people can check it out as well. Also check all the other links in the video description. Check Barber DTS, they have awesome selection of tattoo products and they ship for free to many places if you buy above certain amount, which is also awesome. And check link to their Instagram, they post a lot of updates, they put out a lot of artists. Now there's also a lot of tips for like Procreate and stuff like that, and also they mention in what events they will participate, and then you have a chance in person, go up to their stand and have a look at this tattoo machine and get a feel of it. So check them out there. And then there's also a bunch of playlists of other videos that I have on this channel. Maybe you'll find something interesting, maybe like this one. Now thank you for sticking to the end of video, stay safe, and I'm out. See you in future episodes.